Well, we have some holiday basketball, so we give you a holiday show here on the PHLY Sixers pregame show with Derek Bodner. I'm Devon Givens. Bree is here as always. Great to see you in the chat. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to everyone out there. We hope that you're choosing chill as you start things off for your basketball team, but just in general, spending time with family and friends on this holiday. We hope you're all having a very, very good one and a Merry Christmas to you all. Our pregame show is presented by Coors Light. Visit CoorsLight.com/PHLY basketball to get Coors Light delivered or to find a store nearest you. I'm not sure how much of a delivery is available today, but you might be able to go to the store and find some because we do know that some of the local supermarkets that are open, or as we know, the great Wawa that stays open. Yep. They carry some adult beverages now as well. So maybe you can go choose chill. You can hurry up. The roads are pretty clear. You can get there, get back in time for tip-off for the Sixers and the Celtics here on Christmas Day. Derek, happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
Same to you.
Good to be here with you.
If I had to be here, I'm happy it's with you.
Merry Christmas, Kyle. Watching from home. But yeah, we are here and we have a basketball game. Game one, very entertaining. Game two, a little bit of a blowout so far between Dallas and Minnesota. Just to update the score here, it's a little bit closer now. A 13-point game for the Minnesota Timberwolves, winning on the road. The home team, the New York Knicks, won earlier. So we'll see if the Sixers can keep the trend going with if this holds for Minnesota winning on the road against the Dallas Mavericks. The Sixers doing so against the Boston Celtics, the defending champion Boston Celtics, as we know. But the Sixers have been playing, as much as we have complained, like the Cleveland game on that Saturday, which was a dud based on how they played. They've won 7 of their last 10, Derek. So we'll get to some of the other things later on, the starting lineup with some of the players who are in and out. We'll talk about the Celtics a little bit later, get our pregame picks courtesy of Bet365. But the Sixers have been playing some better basketball as of late. 7 of their last 10 looking really good with some things that they're doing. And they are, as we talk about the starting lineup a little bit later, they're going to have the big fellow back. And partly the way that they've been playing is because of him and his presence back in the lineup. No technical fouls today, no ejections. If we see him in the lineup for a full game with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey, could they make this 8 of 11?
I mean, they could.
They could. They're playing a game. They could.
Correct.
Right.
Yes, there are 2 outcomes, win or lose. That means you have the 50%. No, it doesn't mean that at all. Look, it's a regular season game in December. It's a high-profile one, obviously. It's a national TV one. So you would expect the Celtics to be locked in. But weird stuff can happen throughout the course of a game, especially with a team like Boston that takes so many threes. They could just have an off night. Yada, yada, yada. Certainly, it's not a 0% chance the Sixers win. Would I bet on that? No, I would not bet on that. You know, this is clearly a Boston team who they have. If you have one thing to rest on, it might just be that they have very little to prove, and that's part of the reason why. Like, I wouldn't have predicted the Celtics to have maybe the best record in the NBA. They don't need to go out there and gun for every win, every random Wednesday game in December. But they've been pretty locked in throughout most of the season. This has been a good team, a consistent team. They're one of those teams that are top 10, both offensively and defensively. They obviously put a lot of pressure on you with their perimeter shooting, and they've got a lot of two-way players and a lot of defensive versatility, a lot of options on the wings that teams just struggled to match up with. And they're very good at playing pick the bozo, attacking the matchup that they can, using that to set up their drive and kick game. They are a team that you have to be operating on all cylinders to beat. The Sixers, just by virtue of the fact that their big three have still played very little together throughout the course of the season, they are nowhere near operating at their highest level, even though they're coming off of a really nice win, especially given the circumstances of Joel missing that second half. They're coming off of a really good win. They just don't have the chemistry. They don't have the connectiveness to go out there and really play at a consistently elite level like you would need to beat the Celtics if they are operating at the top of their game.
Yeah, they are really good, man. So what have you been seeing as of late from the Sixers with this 7-10 record, playing a little bit better? You oftentimes like to dip into the numbers, go a little bit deeper into the advanced stats of what they are. And maybe it's not just the advanced stats, it's just simply what we see, what we're looking at when we're out there on the floor. Tyrese Maxey is shooting the ball much better. We're seeing that. We got a good Yabusele game after Embiid was ejected on Monday. night against the San Antonio Spurs. What are you seeing overall that is helping this team turn it around for, we know health plays a part in it,
Sure.
but what are you seeing as far as numbers and play-wise that you like from this team
Yeah,
right
I
now?
mean, they're executing a lot better offensively. They're getting a lot more threes up. They're making a lot more of their threes. Not that they're necessarily shooting the ball great, but when they were the worst shooting team in the league throughout really the first month or so of the season, that makes it hard to win games, especially when your big guy, the only one who really gets to the rim at any kind of a consistent level, isn't in the lineup. So the fact that they've got Joe back, he raises their defensive floor, he gets the free throw line, gets easy points in the half court, and also now all of a sudden you're I don't want to use call role players because it's like your two stars in Maxey and Paul George are making more shots from the perimeter. That's just going to be a winning formula more often, especially because this is a team who takes pretty good care of the ball. So if you start executing offensively, really making shots from the perimeter, hunting shots, they have a chance to go out there and win. The other reason that they've been winning more consistently here over the last 10 or so games, they've played Charlotte a lot. That helps, if we're being honest. They
Doesn't
have
hurt.
more margin for error when you're playing Charlotte. I think Detroit is one of those wins in there. You've got the 3 wins over Charlotte. You've just had some games, even like Chicago, the Pacers, even though they lost that Pacers game, they've just had a pretty soft schedule. So when you add in the fact that you're getting Embiid back, you're making more of your perimeter shots, and you're also playing teams that are going to give you more avenues to beat them. They've been playing much better basketball, and they've also been playing a softer schedule.
No, they really have, man. So good to see that, again, from the 76ers for what they're doing right now on the floor, having the softer schedule. It's not that part is not their fault. The losses, of course, a lot of them were self-inflicted. Those were their fault. But whoever's on your schedule, as we've talked about, just simply trying to build up the wins and add to the win total. They are finally at double digits in the win column with 10 now, 10-17 on the season. Looking to improve that today against the Boston Celtics in Boston on Christmas Day and go for win number 11. Hey, maybe some of that. And a good win over San Antonio Spurs that we talked about on Monday. That was an over 500 team playing some pretty decent basketball in a Western Conference. And if you watched the game earlier this afternoon against the New York Knicks to start off the Christmas Day slate, that was a very entertaining game for what both the Knicks and the Spurs currently are. And the Spurs are a legit competitive basketball team right now. Good mix of youth with the veterans out there on the floor. They compete. They never give up. And when you have someone like Wembanyama, you have to give it your all. And while he didn't have a game like he did today against the Sixers on Monday, he did things, though, that could affect the game. The 8 blocks, pushing guys away, making them rethink going to the basket, changing their shots a little bit. And they countered. They adjusted, especially with Joel Embiid being ejected from that basketball game for what they had to do. So good win against the San Antonio Spurs. Bad loss on Saturday to the Cleveland Cavaliers, but picking up those wins on Friday and Monday against the Charlotte Hornets, helping them to get those W's, which is simply much needed. So how would that really impact and affect things today? We don't know. But when you play as well as they have over the last 10, picking up a few wins and getting them under your belt gives you a little bit more confidence when you also have your guys out there for now the 6th time in how many games is it now? 27 games in the books, going for game number 28 today. It's game number 6 with these players on the floor. So them picking up the chemistry, seeing how they play against one another, seeing the tendencies with Paul George and Paul George figuring it out with Embiid and Maxey, seeing those tendencies, maybe that will help again and pick up your level of play when you're going against a good team like they are today. Just to go back and flash back to the game on Monday, Derek, just to give your thoughts once again for the people who may not have seen it. You were in the building. You had a short time to join us on the postgame show. Just everything from the ejection to the uninjection. The ejection to the uninjection.
We don't even know how to say it because it never happens. You never see it.
Rich laid that one out, and it was perfect. So we just go with the uninjected thing that happened with Andre Drummond. The ejection for Joel Embiid, and then Tyrese Maxey taking over there in the second half. He finished with 32, 21 in the second half, 12 in the fourth quarter to finish with the game high 32. But just going back, recalling it again one more time for maybe the people who did not get a chance to hear your thoughts on everything that happened in Monday's win.
Yeah. Real quick going back there, you mentioned something about only being the 6th game that the big three have played together. Mm-hmm. I remember looking this up when the Cavs, they played the Cavs. And the Cavs at that point had the same starting, or their top four in Allen, Garland, Mitchell, and Mobley had started, I think, 26 of their 28 games up to that point. And to have that kind of luxury, it really does have an impact. Because we did a show not too long ago about Paul George and getting him going when he's playing alongside Joel Embiid. All this stuff, some of this is just going to take some time. And it is something where most teams, especially good teams like that, contending teams, just have so much more chemistry and togetherness because they've played more basketball together. Yep. It's not an insignificant detail at all. And hopefully, obviously this isn't great breaking news here, but hopefully the Sixers can be somewhat consistent in having those three just so they can build some of that chemistry that they're very clearly lacking right now. In terms of the other night against the Spurs, first of all, I thought it was a really good win. It was a really impressive job they did to be able to close that out without Joel Embiid. It was, Yabusele was incredible defensively down the stretch. And this is a guy in Wembanyama who is tearing up the league. I think he's averaging something like 30 points per game over his last 10 games, along with Defensive Player of the Year caliber defense. He probably is the best defender in the world right now. And I think you saw that in a big way in the first half when he had, I think it was 7 blocks. In the first half, the Sixers couldn't get anything going inside the rim. And I talked to Paul George a little bit about it after the game, but they made a much more concerted effort of pulling up before they got to Wemby on those, mid-range pull-up type shots, which is tough because he covers a lot of ground. He does it very quickly. But also then just using the driving kick and trying to get the ball moving like that. He is so unique and so tough. It's not just being 7'4". It's not just being 7'4" with incredible instincts. It's also the mobility that he has. It's going to be fun to watch him over the next decade. I think he's going to be in the MVP conversation as soon as next year when he starts putting all of his clear offensive skills into a complete package. But yeah, it was like that ejection from Drummond was insane. And look, I get the fact that from her vantage point, because it came right after, there was a little bit of shoving between Drummond and Wemby on the first one, obviously. I don't think it was enough to warrant a technical, but there's a little bit. So when she saw him go down, if you thought he was pushed, I understand reacting, but from her vantage point, she couldn't see the play. So you let one of the other two refs call that play.
Yes.
Like, I understand, all right, you didn't get a great view of it. I'm sorry, I apologize. Then don't make the call if you can't see it, especially when you're assuming intent. It blew my mind that happened. I give them a little bit of credit for eventually getting it correct, although I still don't know how you can take a free throw, a technical free throw, off the board. Already taken. I've never seen that happen. Certainly never seen a player come back into the game after being ejected. And look, the Joe thing, I think there's two things that are true. First of all, it was only the second time in his career he's been ejected. So I think some people trying to make this like this is who he is or this is a defining moment. No, he for the most part keeps his cool. He did lose it. I think a lot of what you saw on TV came after the second technical. So after he had been ejected, that's when he really lost it. But it was, you don't escalate like that. If you're first of all, if you're Joel Embiid, it's true. You have to be more in control of your emotions. But I do think when you're talking about a superstar, really any player, you give him the first technical, you give him a chance to walk away, and you let things cool down. And it just seemed like that technical came too quickly. I really thought watching it, they were going to get him for the incidental contact because it did look like his chin, or at least his facial hair, bumped her hand when he was yelling at her. But afterwards, in the pool report, they said, no, that's incidental. That's not what he's being hit for. It was for the yelling or whatever, the cursing, the arguing. I think if that's the case and it's not for the contact, I think you have to let him play.
Yeah, and we were getting destroyed, Rich and I, and this even on social media after the fact, because we said that he had to control his emotions a little bit better.
He did.
Not taking anything away from her poor call, but don't give her the opportunity to, all right, I'm going to use this and I'm going to throw you out already, all right? Because you see, it's already a high-level game. Emotions are high. Her emotions are high, especially after the Andre Drummond thing where that had to be overturned. She said she made a mistake. All right, cool. But
don't compound that mistake by having a quick trigger. And look, I think it's 100%.
I agree with you.
I think it's 100% fair to say Joe should have controlled his emotions because he should have.
Both can be true.
Yes, but I also think it's true that like you just don't you give somebody room and space and time to back away and calm down before pulling the trigger on this. Clearly, one technical was 100% warranted. He deserved that one.
I agree.
I think the second one was just a little too quick.
I agree. So Joel in today, though, and they were going to make sure he's in today for a nationally televised game. especially on a holiday on Christmas. Bree, if you have these starters ready, Derek pointed it out. Wouldn't be surprised if Caleb Martin got to start today because of who is in the lineup for the Boston Celtics. Well,
and
you were
because
right.
of a lot of people who aren't in the lineup for the Philadelphia 76ers.
Very true there as well. Joel Embiid in the starting lineup with Paul George and Tyrese Maxey, along with Kelly Oubre, the normal 4. And today with KJ Martin out because of the foot, you have Caleb you have Caleb Martin in.
Too many
Martins on the team, man. I'm not forcing a trade or anything. I'm just saying that too many Martins on the team.
I mean, we should get Cody in here and really screw with us.
Screw it all up. And they can switch jerseys too. Caleb gets to start today against the Boston Celtics. So as you pointed out, this is the starting lineup that we all had always predicted it would be. Why not Yabusele here, though, based on how well he played? And did you see if Andre Drummond is in or out?
Andre Drummond is out. Yeah.
So there you go. You're back up 5. You want to?
It might be that they just might want him in there for that sub. Obviously, you could stagger it and still have him play the backup center minutes, but that might be part of what they're thinking. But it's in part, I think, just because you need as many wing defenders to try to slow down Brown and Tatum as you can get. And Boston, now that everyone is back, they are starting Horford and Porzingis. So that is a bigger lineup than maybe they typically do, or at least they have throughout the early parts of the season. But it is, I think it's in part matchup. I think it's in part they want Yabusele to be the backup center, and it's easier to stagger. But I don't know. It's tough because we did talk a lot about this lineup as possibly being one that would be the starting lineup to start the season. And then obviously Caleb came in and struggled as much as he did. He made a couple of perimeter shots there the other night. I didn't necessarily think the form looked great on it, though, so I'm not ready to call him back or anything like that. So if Caleb was playing more typical Caleb Martin level, then I think this would be the obvious one. But because he's been so out of the lineup so much, was out of the rotation for a little while even before going out of the lineup, and because that shot has been so questionable, I do wonder if maybe you start Yabusele, but I understand why you would do this from a matchup perspective.
Yep, primary backup for Yabusele. Now, the matchup going against Al Horford in the starting lineup would have been perfect. They face off pretty easily there, so that one that seems like a simple one. But because of the fact that he is going to be the primary 5 behind Joel Embiid getting those minutes, you can understand why Nick Nurse decided to go in this direction. On Monday in the win over the Spurs, just a second under 27 minutes for Caleb Martin off the bench. He was 4 for 8 from the floor, 3 for 5 from 3. The one made 2-pointer that he had came courtesy of a pass from Yabusele in the transition where he got that dunk. And Martin finished with 12 points, but he did knock down those 3 threes. Snatched 5 rebounds as well, 1 steal, 1 block in his just under 27 minutes of play. So maybe they're just trying to also ride that. All right, he played well. And, oh, by the way, it is the Boston Celtics. He normally goes nuts against the Celtics. Maybe he'll have one of those performances today.
I'd love to see it.
Yes.
In all honesty, I was excited when they signed Caleb Martin. I still think when he figures out whatever's going on with his shoulder, I think he can be a very good player. I think you've seen him, the defensive rotations I think have been there. You need him to be a viable offensive player, and that starts with the shot, because I think when the shot doesn't go in, or at least he's not confident in it, I think then he starts trying to do a little too much off the dribble, taking risks that he wouldn't normally take and playing outside of his comfort zone. And if he gets back to where he was, all of a sudden you look at him, you look at Oubre, you look at Paul George with Embiid behind them, and Maxey, in all honesty, who I think has been really good defensively here of late, you can have a really, really killer defense. And when you started talking about the last 10 games, 7-3, one of the things that you take away, they are a top 10 defense over that span, kind of sneaking in towards back at half of that top 10, but they have been a top 10 defense over that stretch. I don't think that's necessarily coincidence. I think they have the pieces to be a really good defense, especially with Joe back and especially with Caleb Martin, giving them sort of like that 3-headed, forward wing trio on the floor. But he needs to be confident in that shot.
And some of the stuff that we have been seeing as of late from, number one, Paul George with his defensive versatility
He's been
out
incredible
there.
defensively.
Exactly. Then you couple Kelly Oubre for the things that he has been doing, getting his hands in there, tipping some basketballs away, maybe disrupting the action that is happening for the opposition. And then you also see where Caleb Martin does the exact same thing. Maybe not to the level, but he is one that is a fighter. He's a tough guy. He gets in there and he makes it very difficult for the defender, for the offensive player. So having those three out there today, seeing them against quite frankly, I mean, the two best wings to come together. I mean, you can look at New York, of course, with what Kel and OG are doing there, and you can go around the league for some others, but certainly the standard is probably the two All-Stars and the two champions in Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum. So to have those three out there, then Drew Holiday, Derek White with them out there on the floor as well, getting a chance to see these players again where they're all relatively healthy, even despite the shoulder thing with Caleb Martin. He's still fighting through it. He's coming off one of his better offensive performances in a while. Give it a shot. Throw him out there, see what it looks like, because in the end, if you are in the playoffs, it's going to be getting through New York, getting through Boston, and these wings that they have, and the guards that they have, trying to slow them down with the three wings on the defensive ends that you have. So seeing what Caleb Martin has, see what he looks like. And Rich was talking about how maybe two of those threes that went in, and even the ones that he missed didn't look all that bad. Much better form looked like for Caleb Martin. I still thought I saw the kick with the legs out from him, where it all, as you pointed out, wasn't as fluid as we would like it to see from his Miami days, but just a tad bit better from Caleb Martin. So we'll see if that continues today against the Celtics. Celtics sitting at 22-7 on the season. They are second in the Eastern Conference behind the Cleveland Cavaliers, who we just saw last week, and they are a very good basketball team. The Celtics are a very good basketball team, as we know. And Derek, when you look at this team, you briefly discussed how good they are, but 29 games in, 22-7 on
it's
the
wild
season.
when like 22-7 almost feels like a disappointment.
I know.
Like they should be almost perfect.
Yeah, like 30-1.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
well, then what did they start off last year? Weren't they?
They didn't lose for like
it was a long time.
Yeah, long time.
I'll look that up while you
but they are 11-4 at home. They're 4 losses at home.
That's what it was. Didn't they win like their first 20 games at home or something like that?
Yeah, it was something crazy like that. So 11-4 at home. But they are 6 of their last 10. So we look at the Sixers and say 7 of their last 10, and Boston is 6 of their last 10. They've had some losses on their schedule where you're looking at them and you're saying, man, you lost to the Bulls? I mean, you know what I mean? You lost to the Bulls. You lose. You beat the Wizards, but the Pistons play you close. And you lose to the Grizzlies. Grizzlies are a good team, that kind of thing. But they have had some losses in here for the Celtics where maybe you look at them and saying, are they taking things lightly or whatever they're doing? They're still good at 22-7.
Oh, no, they're incredible. And they're certainly one of those teams where you feel like, all right, they're 22-7. You feel like if they really ramp it up, though, they can beat anyone in the league. They might not have the best record in the league right now. Probably have like third best record. It doesn't matter. They are as good and as talented and as, they are. There are very few teams that you can look at and say, I don't know what their real flaw is. I don't know what player you can pick on defensively. I don't know what player you can help off of, that you don't have to worry about on the perimeter. They are as fundamentally sound. And look, like I said, they will have some games where they shoot 55 threes and they make 15 of them, and they will give you a chance to win because of that. But they're so good in almost every other aspect, whether that is winning the possession battle, whether that is defensively. They can still pull out wins even when their shot is off. They're a great team, and they're a team that I don't care how many wins or how many games Cleveland wins throughout the course of the regular season. I don't care how much relative cruise control Boston is in. When the playoffs come around, that is a team that you're picking to come out of the Eastern Conference.
100%.
That's the team that I picked. I think we all picked before the season in our predictions. That's the team I'm still picking. They are, until that cap crunch comes, that is an incredible starting five. Yeah,
it really is, man. So they are a tough out, and it's going to be a really, really tough one today for the Philadelphia 76ers.
There was
against the
one
Boston
thing
Celtics.
that some people are asking about here, according to Jared Weiss, my old colleague at not old, he's not old, my former colleague at The Athletic, covers the Celtics, said Joel Embiid fell into the front row taking a turnaround three during his pregame warmup and grabbed his ankle in pain. Needing a minute to get up, he finished out his shooting routine before walking back to the locker room. Haven't seen an update since. I know there was somebody in the chat asking if we had any update on that. We are unfortunately not in Boston. We are sitting here in our Philadelphia studios doing a show, so I don't have any details on that yet. But I guess we'll find out shortly.
Only Joel.
It's nothing can be easy. Man.
Only
nothing
Joel.
Can be easy.
Yeah. So if he goes out there and he puts
the
up,
Sixers did just tweet out the starting five with him in it though. So
yeah. But if he drops 40 today and you know what the story. Yeah, you tweak your ankle in pregame warmups. How's your ankle feeling? Yeah, we'll see some limping, like playing it up a little bit because of that. Tape it up, man, and go out there and play some basketball here today. All right, let's get to our pregame pick segment here, courtesy of Bet365. Our pregame pick segment is brought to you by Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Yes, Genie, he is very clumsy. Yes, he is. He is very, isn't he though? I mean, he's a little clumsy.
It's weird because on the one hand, he does stuff that physically a 7 foot, 280-pound man should not be able to do. Like he bends the laws of physics.
Yes.
And then he trips.
And then
it's like,
trips.
I don't know what to make of this.
Yeah, I agree, man. All right, let's get to these picks here. Courtesy of Bet365. These are my choices. As always, I hit on Monday with Tyrese, Maxey, and
look. Anytime you get those right, I've got to give you your props because it doesn't happen often.
Oh, Wembanyama. I had him, Derek. I had him at 4.5 steals and blocks combined.
Seems like no
Why do you think I took it?
Yeah.
Why do you think I took it? I was like, oh, this is free money for the people out there. And Tyrese Maxey's been on a roll, 27.5 over on assists and points. I was like, I'm getting this when Joel's playing. This is going to be money made for the people. Well, let's do that again here with Tyrese Maxey going a point over for the combined points and assists at 28.5.
Okay.
And a big point of my choosing this is because, once again, Joel is back. So if Joel is back, we'll see that patent and pick and roll,
the assists,
pick and pop.
Yep.
That should at least go up to maybe 5-6 assists. If he can get you the 21, 22, 23, get over that, 28.5 should be attainable for Tyrese Maxey. And I coupled that with this. After having a subpar rebounding performance that we all discussed, I see you looking at the video. Okay. Why is he laying down like that? And he went over the...
So in some arenas, they put like tape around, like a line.
The
around,
restriction
not a
line. Around,
like a rope around the court so that like fans can't get on there. And as he was like stepping back after the step back, he fell over that rope. Which is just, I can't believe I'm now sitting here on a post-game show waiting for
pregame show,
waiting for an update on Joel Embiid's ankle
Bree has
after
it up
tripping
on the
over
screen,
a rope.
so people who have not seen it, there it is.
He tripped over a rope.
He tripped only Joel. They're out there a lot, so it's not like you don't know. Only Joel Embiid could do that. And all right, so with that said, I had him at 8.5 rebounds. Oh, maybe that's a problem now. He can't jump to rebound the basketball against the Celtics this evening. And Ego says, bruh. Just said, bruh, come on, man. You know what I mean? It's not the Celtics' fault. All NBA arenas do this. The Sixers included.
We got a tweet from Bobby Manning, who says Embiid is on the floor and still in the starting lineup. Looks good to go. So
when the Golden State Warriors at their height of basketball, winning those championships and being the show that they were, when they would come into the arena, oftentimes it was weird too, because it was like a Saturday or a Friday night for the Sixers hosting the Golden State Warriors, but they would always have that rope around it. So it's not uncommon to have the rope.
No.
There you go. You're right.
Usually
Bro,
you have it on the baseline. You don't usually see it on the sideline, which is where he tripped. But he did see that before he started shooting. So, a little bit of awareness would have gone a long way there.
Well, he's always a showman, too. So, this plays up perfectly. You're going to see this on the broadcast now. So, 8.5 rebounds over for Joel Embiid. Joel, just grab the rebounds, man. Just grab the rebounds. Hit your shots. And that is all courtesy.
My concern there, though, is that Celtics shoot a lot of threes, long rebounds. I wonder if that's going to get you.
Yep, absolutely. But because he only had 5 in that one and 5 in the fourth quarter.
He's got to come out with
a better effort there against Al Horford and Kristaps Porzingis. Jayson Tatum, good rebounder as well from the wing. Courtesy of Bet365. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. 2 good games so far, Derek, where the Minnesota Timberwolves did eke out the win in Dallas on the road, 105-99. The Knicks, Wembanyama with 42 for the Spurs. 41 for Kale. Come on, man. 41 for Kale. I saw the people in the chat saying congrats to Kale. Thank you very much. I didn't make any of those shots, but
41 and the win.
41 and the win, and good efficiency from the floor as well. The Knicks win, so 2 good games. Will we get a third one is the question of the 5 on these Christmas Day games. We will talk about it after the game. Either way, so we'll be with you. Thanks for hanging out with us, everybody, for the pregame show, once again, presented by Coors Light. Coors Light, visit CoorsLight.com/PHLY basketball to get Coors Light delivered or to find a store near you. For Derek and Bree, I'm Devon. Hopefully, we'll see all of you in the chat afterwards and, of course, viewing. And if you have not yet, make sure you tell your folks to go out there to like and subscribe the show and the PHLY network overall, because we are still just a little short from that 30,000, and we would love for everybody to do so while we're here doing our show later on tonight.
11 of you to sign up between now and post.
That's it.
That's it.
Just 11? Come on, folks. Get that 11 done. Tell a friend and tell another friend and tell the rest of the friends and the family to sign up, and we'll see you after the game, hopefully talking about a win over the Celtics right here on the PHLY Sixers postgame show. We'll see you then.
We all silly like the mayor.